You ever been so ashamed of who you used to be, you don't even recognize yourself in the mirror? That's where Charles was, 63 years old, skin loose on his bones, cough that sounded like death clapping. Ain't got no house, no savings, no real friends, just a small bag, 3 shirts, and a faded Bible he hadn't opened in years. See, Charles wasn't always like this. He used to be the man. Sharp suits, big voice, a laugh that could lift a whole room, a wife that adored him, 3 kids that ran to the door every time they heard his boots hit the steps. But drugs, man, they don't knock on your door politely. They kick that thing in, move into your house, sleep in your bed, steal your soul piece by piece. Crack cocaine chewed Charles up and spit out a ghost. He left one night, said he was going to get milk, never came back. The years rolled by like smoke. He'd hit bottom so many times he started calling it home. But now the doctor said his liver was shot. Stage 4, you don't have long. That's what they told him. So here he was, sitting at a bus stop in Detroit in worn out clothes, watching cars pass by, one-way ticket in his pocket, going to see his children for the first time in over 25 years, not as their father, as a stranger. Because see, Charles couldn't just call them. He couldn't just say, hey, it's me, your dad. He didn't know if he still had that right, so he made a plan. He was going to visit them like a beggar, see how they treated someone with nothing to offer. He figured if they could love a stranger, maybe they still had room in their hearts for a broken father. First stop, Lisa, his oldest. She was 6 when he left. Now she's a nurse, married, 2 kids, big life. He stood outside her house for an hour, heart pounding, finally knocked. She opened the door, looked at him like he was a stain on her porch. Yes? Ma'am, I ain't got much. Just looking for a bite to eat. Lisa squinted. Something in his voice made her pause. You smell like liquor. I got kids in here. I understand, Charles whispered. Before he could say more, she slammed the door. He stood there for a minute, then walked away. Let me talk to y'all straight. There's some pain you carry that don't fit in words. A man who walks away from his children knows that pain, but so does the child left behind. See, this ain't about blame. It's about what addiction steals. Addiction don't just take your money. It takes your presence. It takes your birthdays, your bedtime stories, your Sunday dinners. It turns fathers into shadows, mothers into ghosts. And when the smoke clears, if it ever does, you look up and realize life moved on without you. Charles ain't a villain, but he sure as hell ain't innocent. He chose the pipe over his babies. He let the high be louder than the love. That's a decision, and decisions come with consequences. But here's what I need you to hear. Redemption don't come in pretty packages. Sometimes it walks up to your door dirty, coughing, scared, and wearing old shoes. Sometimes the one who broke your heart is the one standing in the rain, hoping you still got room in it. And that choice belongs to you. This story, it ain't about making you feel bad for Charles. It's about opening your eyes, because some of y'all are Charles right now. You're in the middle of your addiction. You're lying to yourself thinking you'll fix it one day, that your kid's too young to notice, that you got time. You don't. And some of y'all are Lisa. You've been holding pain so long it's hardened into survival. You learned how to smile with a hole in your heart where a parent used to be. Let me say this loud. It's okay to protect yourself. Forgiveness don't mean you let people come in and wreck your peace, but don't close your door so tight that healing can't even knock. And for those watching this who've never been touched by addiction, don't you dare judge this story like it can't be yours. One bad decision, one wrong friend, one moment of weakness is all it takes to go from together to torn. This story is real, it's ugly, but it's necessary because it might save somebody. After Lisa slammed the door, Charles didn't cry. He just stood there quiet, lips pressed tight like he was holding something back, regret maybe, or just the weight of reality. That girl used to fall asleep on his chest. Now he wasn't even worth a glass of water, but he kept walking. Next stop, Andre, middle child, the one with the brains. Always had a notebook in his hand. Charles used to call him Professor. Andre lived in the suburbs now, big glass house with trimmed hedges. You could smell the wealth from down the street. Charles shuffled up the driveway, wiped his hands on his pants, knocked. A woman opened the door, beautiful, classy, wedding ring like a billboard. Yes, ma'am, he cleared his throat. I was wondering if you had any work, lawn, trash, anything. I ain't asking for money, just something to do. She hesitated. From behind her came a voice, sharp, familiar. "Babe, who is it?" Andre stepped forward holding a mug, his eyes locked on Charles. He knew. Even after 25 years, he knew. His whole face shifted, not in joy, not even anger, just disgust. He stepped out, closed the door behind him. "What the hell are you doing here?" Charles swallowed. "I ain't here to cause trouble. I'm sick, son, real sick. I just wanted to see y'all. I ain't asking for nothing." Andre laughed, cold. "You don't get to call me that." Charles looked down. "I deserve that." "No," Andre said, "you don't even deserve this conversation. My mama cried for 10 years straight. You stole everything from her, everything from us." "I know. I hate myself every day for it." Andre stepped closer. "Good. Hate yourself some more, then leave." And just like that, Charles got dismissed like a junk flyer on a windshield. He turned, walked down the perfect driveway, back into the real world. Let's not sugarcoat it. Charles left. He walked out when his kids needed him most. And pain like that, it don't forget. It don't just dissolve because time passed. Andre ain't wrong. You don't owe closure to someone who broke your foundation, especially when they never tried to rebuild it. But let me tell you what hurts more than being rejected. It's knowing you deserve it. That's where Charles is. This man ain't looking for a second chance at fatherhood. He knows that ship sailed and sunk. He's just trying to die with a little bit of peace. But life don't hand out peace just because you're dying. Sometimes it makes you walk through all the wreckage you created step by step. Now, some people will say he had it coming, and they might be right. But forgiveness ain't about who deserves it. It's about who needs to heal. And when the wound is too deep, even love has to be protected. You ever been on the other side of that door? Maybe you're Andre in this story. You held your family together while somebody else fell apart. You watched your mama work double shifts, hold back tears, teach you how to be strong when she could barely stand. And now the man who left wants to come back. That's a hard place to stand, because your heart wants to reach, but your memory says, nah. I ain't here to tell you to forgive him. I'm just saying, carry hate too long and it'll burn you from the inside out. And if you're Charles, if you done dirt so deep it stained your own soul, don't expect people to hug you just because you said sorry. Some bridges need more than words. Some wounds need more than time. But here's the twist. Even when both sides are hurting, even when there's no clean fix, there's still something powerful in showing up. Charles ain't expecting a miracle. He's not knocking with gifts or big speeches. He's knocking in rags, trembling, hoping he ain't too late to be seen. There's still one door left. One child who might remember more love than absence. And that next door, that's where we go next. Charles' feet were blistered. He'd walked nearly 8 miles since dawn. No food, no rest. Just pain, guilt, and a little hope left in his chest. He stood now in front of a rundown apartment complex in the city. Paint peeling, broken mailboxes, stray cats hissing from shadows. But this was the one address he'd held on to all these years. His youngest. Micah. Born when Charles was already deep in the grip of drugs, he wasn't even at the hospital. Never held that boy as a baby, never rocked him to sleep. Micah was only 3 when Charles left for good, but he remembered his name. He always remembered Micah's name. Charles walked up 3 flights of stairs, holding the rusty railing like a cane, then stood at the door labeled WAC 3C. He knocked. Nothing. He knocked again. Gentle, not desperate. After a long pause, the door opened, and there he was, mid-20s, braided hair, hoodie, tattoos on both arms, but his eyes were soft. Micah looked confused. "Can I help you?" Charles opened his mouth, but nothing came out at first. He choked down the fear, the shame, the weight of 2 lifetimes. I think you my son." Silence. Micah blinked. "I don't got a dad." "I know," Charles said, voice trembling. "That's my fault. I ain't here to beg or cause no trouble. I'm sick, ain't got long. I just wanted to look at you one time." Micah stepped back, not from fear, but from something else. He opened the door wide. "Come in." Charles hesitated, then stepped inside. It was small, neat, quiet, smelled like candles and ramen noodles. A keyboard in the corner, sketches on the table. "You draw?" "Sometimes." "You good?" Micah shrugged, trying to be. Charles nodded. He didn't sit, he didn't speak, he just stood there, eyes scanning the apartment like it was a museum of a life he never got to see. Then Micah broke the silence. "My mama said you used to sing. That true?" Charles chuckled weak. "I used to sing before the drugs stole my throat." They both laughed a little. It wasn't much, but it was something. "You want some tea?" Micah asked. Charles nodded. And just like that, in a quiet apartment on the edge of nowhere, he was seen. Let me tell you something. In every family, there's always one child that carries the light, even when they grew up in the dark. One child who didn't get the hugs, didn't get the bedtime stories, didn't get the perfect memories, but still kept a little room in their heart open just in case. That's Micah. Now don't get it twisted. Micah ain't dumb. He knows what happened. He knows what wasn't done, what wasn't said, what was broken, but he made a decision that day when he opened that door to give grace. And man, that's a big decision. See, grace don't mean you forget. It don't mean you excuse. It means you allow space for a new sentence, even if the old chapters were a mess. Some people spend their whole lives praying for a second chance and never get it. But when someone hands it to you, trembling, broke, and unsure, you better not fumble it. Charles didn't come in demanding forgiveness. He came in just hoping for the moment. And Micah gave him that. That's what changes stories. Not big speeches, not grand apologies, just one open door. Let's speak real for a second. Some of y'all hearing this are carrying pain from someone who walked out, left you behind, left your mama to raise you alone, left your birthdays dry and your Christmas mornings empty. I ain't here to tell you forgive and forget. That ain't always possible. But what I am saying is when the moment comes, when that knock hits your door, you got a choice. You can close it like Lisa did, like Andre. And honestly, nobody would blame you. Or you can open it, even if just a crack, even if all you say is, "I see you." Because sometimes all a person wants at the end of their story is not to die invisible. Micah didn't fix Charles. He didn't erase the past, but he reminded his father that no matter how dark life got, love didn't die. It just waited. Charles slept on the couch that night. Micah offered the bed, but he refused. "I've been sleeping on concrete longer than I can remember," he said. "This feel like heaven." Micah just nodded and tossed him an extra blanket. Neither of them said much, but silence ain't always bad. Sometimes silence is where healing starts. The next morning, Charles woke to the smell of eggs and coffee. Not hotel breakfast, real food. He sat up, wiped his eyes, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like trash. Micah poured him a cup, didn't say a word. Charles sipped it slow, hand shaking but heart calm. "Micah," he started, "you don't owe me nothing. I know that. I just need to say it." Micah sat down. "I'm sorry I wasn't your father." Silence. "I'm sorry I picked drugs over birthdays, over Christmas, over watching you grow up." Another pause. "I ain't looking for no do-over. I just want to die knowing I at least said it." Micah stared at his mug, then looked at Charles. "I know." That's all he said. And for Charles, that was enough. That afternoon, Micah walked him to a nearby clinic. Nothing fancy, no celebrity rehab, just a small support group and an old school doctor who didn't smile much. Charles sat through orientation, listened to other men talk about their poison. Some were young, some looked like him, gray, bent, cracked from the inside out. Micah waited in the hallway the whole time. 2 hours later, Charles walked out with a pamphlet and a schedule. He handed it to Micah like it was gold. "I ain't never been clean in my life," he said. Micah smiled. "Let's try." That became their new rhythm. Meetings, soup, silence, talk. Then one day, Micah handed him a phone. "It's Andre," he said. "He wants to meet." Let me break this down for you. Healing ain't loud. It don't come in big dramatic moments or with theme music playing in the background. Sometimes it shows up in a cup of coffee. Sometimes it sits on a couch in silence. Charles didn't deserve Micah's forgiveness, but forgiveness ain't always about who deserves it. It's about who needs it. And Micah, He was man enough to realize that holding on to anger wasn't making him stronger. It was making him tired. Some of y'all are holding on to anger like it's part of your body. You sleep with it. You eat dinner with it. You drag it around to your job, your marriage, your kids, and wonder why you feel heavy. Let it go. You don't need to forget. You don't even need to trust again. But if there's a small light inside you that still believes people can change, let that light live. Charles wasn't trying to be a perfect father. He was just trying to not die broken. And that's a good place to start. Now let's talk about the hard truth. Addiction don't just kill the addict. It what kills time. It kills memories. It what kills relationships before they ever get a chance to grow. And when you finally look up, life has moved on without you. Charles missed everything. His kids grew up, his wife gave up, his family learned to breathe without him. That's what drugs steal, not just your body, your legacy. But listen, here's the part they don't tell you. It's never too late to fight for one good page. You may not fix the whole book, you may not undo the past, but if you wake up one morning and decide, I want to stop being the villain in my own story, that's a powerful decision. Charles made that decision. He didn't do it to be a hero. He did it because death was knocking, and he realized nobody was going to write his redemption for him. So he picked up the pen, and his son handed him a fresh piece of paper. That's what love looks like sometimes. It's not hugs and sunshine. It's a chair at the table for the man who didn't build the house. And you want to know why Micah gave him that? Because even when fathers fail, some sons don't forget their father's name. Micah sat on the porch, phone in hand. Charles had just finished his third support group meeting that week. The clinic said he was showing up, and for a man who used to disappear for years at a time, that meant something. But now Micah was the one pacing, because Andre, the oldest son, the angry one, was coming. And Andre didn't forget a damn thing. He was the one who found their mama crying by the stove, the one who walked Micah to school because Charles was too high to remember. He carried the scars, and that made this moment dangerous. A truck pulled up, dusty, loud, and familiar. Andre stepped out, 6 feet of muscle and memory. He didn't say a word as he walked up the porch. Micah opened the door. Charles was sitting inside, holding that same Bible he hadn't opened in 30 years. When Andre stepped into that room, the silence got thick. Charles looked up, eyes wide and wet. "Son?" Andre didn't move. He just stood there, breathing hard, jaw locked. "Before you say anything," Charles whispered, "I ain't here for forgiveness. I just wanted you to see me before I go." Andre's face twitched. "Go where?" "I got cancer. They said months, maybe less." Silence again. Micah sat between them, watching, praying. Charles held out a small torn photo, one from 1994. Him, his 3 boys, and their mama, back when he was still trying. "I lost everything, Dre, not just money. I lost time. I lost you. I lost the chance to be a damn man." Andre took the photo, stared at it. "You remember Christmas '98? He said quietly. Charles looked down. "I remember being too high to come home." Andre nodded. "I remember Mama cooked for 12 hours, and you never showed. I'm sorry. You always been sorry, Pop." The room held its breath. Then Andre sat down, right across from his father, and for a full minute they just stared at each other. And when Charles finally broke, when his shoulders started shaking and the photo slipped from his hands, Andre reached out and picked it up, not to give it back, just to hold it, because sometimes holding the past is the only way to stop it from repeating. And right there in that little living room filled with pain and apology, a crack of light showed up. No fireworks, no hugs, just presence. And for broken families, that's a miracle. Let me tell you something right now. Forgiveness don't always come in words. Sometimes it shows up as silence, a seat at the table, an old photo. Charles spent decades running from his kids, from his pain, from himself. But in the end, he didn't run from death. He walked toward his sons. That's what being a man is. Not just paying bills, not just showing up when it's easy. It's standing in front of the mess you made and saying, I did this and I want to make it right, even if it's too late. That's strength. And Andre, that man didn't forget the trauma. He carried it, but he sat down anyway. You hear what I'm saying? He sat down anyway. Because generational pain is real, y'all, but so is generational healing. And somebody's got to start it. Somebody's got to sit across from the hurt and say, you broke me, but I'm still here. That don't mean everything gets fixed overnight. It just means the cycle stops with you. That's what Micah did. That's what Andre did. That's what Charles was trying to do in his final months. Now lean in. Let's talk truth. Addiction don't come with a warning label. It don't tell you, hey, this pipe's going to cost you your family. It don't say this pill, it's going to turn your kids into strangers. It just feels good until everything good is gone. Charles didn't plan to ruin his life. He didn't plan to abandon his kids. He just got weak once and stayed weak for too long. Some of y'all out here think you're different. Think you can dabble with it and still keep control. Let me tell you straight up, you're not. Nobody ever wakes up saying, I want to die alone. But drugs don't care about your dreams. They don't care about your intentions. They take everything and give you nothing but regret. But here's the flip side. Recovery is real. It's ugly, it's slow, it's hard, but it's real. Charles ain't get a perfect ending. He didn't ride off into the sunset, but he died with dignity. Micah held his hand. Andre stood by the bed. The man who ran from everything died surrounded by the very people he once left behind. Why? Because he faced the pain, owned it, fought it. And that, my friend, is what real men do. If you're struggling right now, don't wait till your body gives out and your kids barely remember your name. Start today. Cry, break down, tell the truth, but start. Because forgiveness, it ain't just about healing others. It's about giving yourself a chance to go home. Even if home is just a porch with 2 sons and a coffee mug full of second chances. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You should comment if you've ever struggled with addiction, abandonment, or forgiveness. Subscribe to encourage us to keep bringing you more life-changing stories. See you in the next story. Peace and love.